280th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the first week of February 2018. This episode is justly titled 2018 Welcome. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Clone This User. Duplicates you'll love. Clone an existing Salesforce user with a click of a button via the desktop or in Salesforce Mobile. Available free on the App Exchange, or go to www.clonethisuser.com. I'm your host, Jason Howard, and joining me, first time in 2018, rounding into our 9th year of podcasting, is that correct? Is Justin Elstein. Justin, how you doing?
First time, long time. I'm feeling chirpy.
Yeah, so we have special guest Bird in the studio today with us. I'm sure Bird will be making noises and or chirping when every time he chirps, an angel gets
Bird's
his wings.
just angry that Bird's name is Bird.
Bird's name is Jesse Neymar, and Bird likes Bird now. Anyway, all right. Well, we have
Thing's cool. The thing over your right shoulder.
Oh, maybe I'll make that my pick. No, I'll make that my pick next week.
Is that the thing that I'm getting one of?
No, you're getting a different thing. You're getting one that hangs on the wall.
That one's really cool.
Yeah, well, you're not getting one of those.
Why can't I have that one?
All right, can we get to the blog post thing? We have so much to catch up on because while we haven't podcasted since December.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
CloudFocus whenever strikes again.
I know. I've been getting flack from all sides. Inside the household, outside the household, on the Twitter.
Oh, when the biggest fan lives in the household.
When the number one fan of the podcast.
Like, why don't you just invite me over and we'll just talk in front of her for like 20 minutes and that'll be that.
No. Loves the recording of it. So we have, I think I was going to try to put this all into one episode, but I don't think that's going to be available or doable. So while there is Spring 18, which is release day, Bird, all about the Spring 18. While there is a Spring 18 release notes out, and I think it's starting to roll out either next week or the week after. I know
it's coming.
Yeah. We will talk about it next week because we'll just do all spring. But we have tons to catch up on that's been happening in our blog. So we can talk about predictions. We can talk about a couple of success stories, which we'll try to make more informative than just yeehaw, look at all this amazing stuff we did. And then we can also talk about happy new customers, which is like shiny, happy people.
It's cool.
And then we'll make our CloudFocus pick of the week, which you will remember to do at some point. And as he's thinking, see his little brain working. It's terrible. It's like a gerbil in a cage. A bird in the cage, and then we will get to going. All right, so let's start off. I think we're going to do this let's put the two success stories together and talk about those two. First things first. Sorry, I have this at the top of the agenda.
Yeah.
This is the countdown to 300.
It is.
So we are with this podcast now 20 away from 300. And we want your ideas. So we want some ideas on what you would like you, the listener, yes, that's everybody, what you'd like to see or us do, that's appropriate and safe for work, for the 300th episode. So we've had ideas in the past. I won't throw any of them out, but let's get some ideas. So you can tweet at us, which you should already know, or send emails, or on the Facebook, or wherever, any place you want. Send us some ideas. We'd love to hear some ideas for what we should do for 300. We have some already. We have some things we want to do, and we think we're planning on trying to do it at Dreamforce. That's the plan.
That is ultimately where we want to do the 300th episode. It's a celebration.
Should we do? So I think we should try to do. If we're gonna do it at Dreamforce, we have to do like a live studio audience. Now, of course, Salesforce has killed off their podcast.
I might submit a session request.
Yeah, that'll get denied. I've already denied it.
I don't
you
care.
haven't even submitted it, and I've denied it.
I'm gonna submit it, and then
you can use the power of Justin.
And then tell people that I submitted it, and then see what happens.
You're gonna try to muster up all your MVP power and see if you can get it through.
I'm gonna try. I mean, why not? It is a really like the longest running Salesforce themed podcast that exists, and we we're proving right now that we're still doing it.
Still doing it. Okay. All right, well, that'd be good. I think that'd be fun. At Dreamforce, do a live.
I mean, how many podcasts
version.
are there now that are Salesforce related? Like
know.
1 billion.
That's the thing. When I do a podcast about a subject, I then don't follow those podcasts. So I only follow podcasts on subjects that I don't do podcasts on, because I don't need to listen to other people talk about it. I can just listen to myself. It's weird, but true. All right, so that's the countdown. We'll try to figure that out. Maybe we can do... Yeah, no, we can't do that. All right, cool. Well, let's start off with, we have two, in the Arkus blog.arkusinc.com, we have two new, I guess, kind of takes. We haven't done these types of blogs before, but there was some pretty interesting use cases, and we really don't do case studies here at Arkus. So this was our way of sort of highlighting two successes. But also I think showing more important, because I don't really want to talk about the beating the chest and being, oh, we did this great thing, but more of like the interesting takes on it and using different technologies to help these clients. So the first was a blog post by Ryan Owens called "The Mobile Pantry Program: A Client Success Story." Very to the note, on the nose.
That is what it is.
Yes, and it's about the West Side Campaign Against Hunger. And again, you can go read it. There's lots of talks about setup and all that. But I thought the interesting piece, really, which is the connection to Salesforce that I enjoyed, was the barcoding and scanning. Because that's one of the things that is kind of tough to do, or used to be very tough to do. Having your front end... whether it's people or event registration, or in this case, they're using labels and stuff to track the people inside, but to have that kind of the hardware outside match with the software inside and kind of have it update. So I thought that's sort of the most interesting part of this, is that he talks about how he used these different technologies, basically AppExchange products plus Salesforce, plus printers and scanners to actually make this happen. So it's a hardware software solution.
Yep,
it's dirtware.
Yeah, a lot of the solutions are built by Scout Inc. We've used them before for scanning in and out for like attendance tracking.
Yep.
Like when you arrive somewhere, you get your card scanned, and then when you leave, card scan, in out type of stuff. So used very similar technology here. There's, I think, a couple of things cobbled together. One, to actually generate a barcode, and then the other to actually generate a label. And then the label is printed, handed out, and then there's an Alpha Card printer, which is the way that they're actually printed, and then they're using a bar scanner to actually scan them in and out. Yeah. And it's nice because they've taken, like, I've visited the physical location of the West Side Campaign Against Hunger, and it's a food pantry. You walk in, there's aisles of food to take, and you have a certain amount of money that you can spend with the organization. Well, they've taken it on the road, and that's really interesting because people who can't get to the location, the physical location, well, maybe you can get to one of these mobile pantries.
Right.
So by using the barcode and scanner, it just made life so much easier. And again, using Zapit, which is again from Scout or Scout Inc., that allows for the West Side Campaign Against Hunger to understand who it is that they're actually, giving food to.
Yeah,
it's essentially attendance.
It's a great solution. So anyway, if you want to read more about it, and there's links to all the different products that was used, head to blog.arkusinc.com.
This was also cross-posted on the salesforce.org.
Oh, well, then everybody's seen it. The whole world's seen it.
Clearly.
Literally.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't read the salesforce.org blog? Nobody's raising their hands. Bird doesn't read it, but Bird doesn't know how to read.
Bird's pretty much dumb.
Bird and I have very similar reading comprehension of capabilities.
You do read as well as Bird.
I read as well or better than Bird.
Yet to be determined. We haven't put her through any reading test. She does have newspaper at the bottom of her tray.
Yeah, she's reading all day.
So maybe she's reading a lot.
Some of it she doesn't like, and she just says, "Here, I don't like this one."
Fun fact, this is a side story, but fun fact anyway. She might have been reading one of the articles that I wrote when I lived in Africa. I ran this business over there, and maybe this would be a fun podcast, but I'm not going to do it today. But anyway, I ran this business, and one of the ways I was trying to generate advertising, because I didn't have any money, it was like I went to this local paper, and I said, I will write articles for you about computers, like computer stuff. And this is back like 95. So, like different computers then. It was more like how to buy a computer and like what you should look for and Mac versus PC. Anyway, I had kept them for 20-something years, I guess, right? Do the math. And so I brought them out, and I was like, all right, this newspaper, I don't want to waste it. So then I put them in there for her to read. So she was reading my 20-year-old articles on like, what Mac SE you should buy, or how much, or is 1 megabyte of RAM enough, or whatever. Anyway, funny story. And I got an advertising space in it for my company, so I'd write the byline, and I'd have a little space.
So hilarious.
It is funny. It's a good story. Good story, bro.
Good story,
Cool story.
Bird.
Next, speaking of good stories,
yeah,
there's a Segui for you. Mr. Ryan Boyle, another Ryan.
Oh, we're doing that one next, all right?
Yeah, well, because I'm going to put them together.
Switching the orders.
Yep.
All right.
Wrote a blog post on the Women's Center of Jacksonville in a much more, I would say, generic kind of like, here's what we did, here's the solution. And it's much more about sort of Salesforce moving off of a back-end system and helping them go all in on Salesforce and using Class C as one of the third-party applications. But a nice blog post. I think I'd love to pivot to this, is maybe the story from that two of our biggest internal fans did. Is that something we can talk about that we can never, ever show? Or maybe we can play it at the 300.
We can play it at the 300 if someone lets us, play.
Well, I have a copy of it.
No, I mean, if we have an audience.
Well, I was thinking, like, we could even just rent out a room. Like, we could just go someplace and say, we're going to hold it here, and we could promote it. And we don't have to have Salesforce do it for us. We could just say, hey, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah, and we'll have, like, thousands of people.
Well, of course. I'll get the keynote room.
Hundreds of thousands. It'll be the biggest thing there.
Anyway.
The greatest ever.
Someone did do a parody of our podcast.
Yeah.
And I think and it was Boyle and James, and I thought they nailed you. Like, I thought they nailed you 100%. Everybody's like, oh, I think James nailed you, but I guess I can't hear my own voice. So I thought it was very, very funny. So I'm still laughing about it. Anyway, they did a parody of CloudFocus Weekly and the two of us, and actually went out and instead of just going and grabbing the song from the beginning of our podcast, they went out and tried to match a real song. So apparently there's a song out there that sounds like the opening to
It's a cake song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't. Anyway, I don't know the song. That should be something else we put into, maybe. We should start using that. No, wait. No, we have to pay royalties.
No, we can't.
So our song I made in GarageBand, and that's why you can't. It's 100% original. Anyway, so go read up on the Women's Center of Jacksonville. Again, it's called A Nonprofit Success Story. Again, just outlines what we did and on the blog. All right, let's get to we got two more blog posts. Why don't we do the Happy New Customer one?
Sure.
Wait, I know one of the listeners loves when I checked with the Just-O-Meter here on the wall to see like where you are, like on the grumpy scale.
Where am I at? It's early. I have 1 cup of coffee.
Only one?
Just one.
Oh, it's terrible.
How many have you had?
2.
Yeah, 1 ahead of me.
That's true, but I'm always, chipper for the podcast. Chipper, like Bird is.
Unlike just normal everyday life.
True.
See, I'm just true to myself. This is me.
No, you just have to wait till about 2
o'clock.
Yeah,
2 o'clock. The happy
you had something to eat, and then and the happy pills kick in. Speaking of happy pills, I'm nailing it today. I'm all refreshed. Scott Searle writes about happy new customers! ! And it's really about automating the onboarding process using process automation. So the idea being, hey, when you bring people into Salesforce, customers or clients, whatever you're calling them, and you want to have a series of follow-ups or a series of events that happen afterwards, it's actually been a big ask. It's an ask of a lot of clients. It's like, hey, we want to communicate to these people and do certain things as part of onboarding them, right? There's a series of tasks, and you can either just write those tasks out, or you could automate it so they just happen, and either tasks or things are updated, or records are created, or cloned, or whatever. So he writes up, and actually with screenshots, look at that, how he did it in Process Builder, and goes over things like KYC, which is really important, which stands for
Know your customer. Or client.
There you go.
Or whatever the C stands for.
That's right. Know your contact. See, it works with everything.
Every C.
But then, and actually mapped out tells you how he did it with an onboarding object so you can track those things. Goes lightning on it, puts a path on top. So a pretty cool, a really nice use case.
And surveys.
Oh, yeah. And surveys, of course. We won't talk about it, but we can talk about Salesforce building their own surveys.
Yeah.
Man.
Spring.
I know.
Coming along.
Weird.
Why? Why is that weird?
I don't know. I feel like that's one of those. It's one of those things that we'll talk about next week. But it's one of those things like, why put your time and attention to that? Like, why put dollars? Like it's a limited resource of how much code you can write between each release.
Can I answer it with the real answer?
The real answer is because they need it, and maybe the App Exchange products didn't cover it, but I feel like they have enough of them out there that
Can I
do
answer
this.
with the real answer?
What's the real answer?
Well, the real answer is big clients, big clients say, you don't have surveys. And they're like, sure we do. There's like hundreds of them on the App Exchange. And they're like, that's not no, that's not Salesforce. And they're like, all right, fine.
Right. But then they write this thing, then it never gets updated, then it gets killed off, and then
Bird is so angry.
So angry, Bird. I know.
It's not, you get it. You've lived through some of these things.
Surveys.
You've lived through Chatter Messenger.
So, by the way, this podcast will not be a podcast you listen to while you go to sleep because it is very loud with Bird. All right, so go read that. That is also on blog.arkusinc.com. Thanks, Scott. I did say Scott, yeah?
You did.
Scott! And then lastly, and most importantly, for the billionth time in a row, I've written the cloud computing predictions.
Billionth or eighth.
For insert year here. I should have just templatized this in Text Expander. Just like the whole thing. Text expand, insert year, insert whatever. So every year I make a few predictions. Some years I actually get something right. And yeah. I mean, there's a lot of rumors out now. Like, there's another rumor out there that Salesforce was going to buy Twitter. There's a rumor out there that Apple is going to buy Netflix. I feel like all you have to do is say this somewhere, and then your stock goes up. It's like then you sell, and you're like, okay, thank you.
Right.
Apple buying Netflix would be crazy.
Yes.
But it didn't happen. Salesforce buying Twitter,
doesn't seem like a fit.
Doesn't seem like a fit, unless
seems like more of a Google fit.
Right. Or anybody else who wants to have the most powerful media engine on the planet. That thing. Oy. This also just seems like a loss.
Well, your first one's starting off strong.
All right, so why don't we pick
a confidence level of 10, and it's it's
well,
early. It's early yet, but it's looking like you're heading in the right direction.
Yeah. So this came out because so the prediction is Bitcoin bites, blockchain bounds. Last year, all the hype around Bitcoin, it started to go crazy in November, December. I know you had friends calling you up like, hey, we got to buy Bitcoin. Let's buy Bitcoin. And at some point I was like, okay, I got to learn a little bit more about this than just, hey, I know what it looks like and I kind of understand it, but I don't really. So I watched a couple documentaries, one of which you suggested, and I watched, there's a lot of really good YouTube videos on it. And, just really explaining it. And then, more importantly, explaining the technology behind it. So there's Bitcoin, which is an implementation of this technology, right? Blockchain. And then there's blockchain, which is the thing behind it. Blockchain, super, super exciting, has can be used for anything, like anything that is sort of an exchange of stuff.
A transaction.
Right. Any type of transaction. So energy could be it, as well as actual sale of goods or currencies. Bitcoin is just using this technology, and it's fascinating in its own right. But anyway, my prediction was that we're gonna hit some bubbles, because it was up to what, 32,000 at one point.
I don't know where.
I don't know.
It
It got
all
way
the way
up.
up
But anyway,
to,
my
I
prediction
know
is going to come back down to reality.
It's come down,
and it has already.
I think it's under $10,000 as we record this particular podcast.
Yeah, people have made millions on it and
lost
millions. That's true. But anyway, that was one of my predictions. What was another one?
Electric cars are driven.
Yeah. What was the prediction though?
Confidence 7. Tesla is currently leading the way with all sorts of fun stuff. Next year will be a major year for electronic vehicles, where manufacturers are going to make all sorts of electronic things.
Wow, it almost sounds like you didn't read it.
Well, I'm trying to just summarize,
yeah, I think really the big one will be that it's last year was huge, and more manufacturers are coming on board. But there's sort of been this fight of like, does it really work and all, and I think that argument is kind of over now. Like, you can get long-term stuff, you can get cars that drive 600 miles, you can get the fastest cars on the planet. You're not losing a lot. So I think a lot of manufacturers who are playing the hybrid game are going to say, yeah, let's get away from the hybrid game and go all electric.
I have a friend who has a Tesla.
Yeah.
And I've spoke to him about it and all that. And there's one thing that I would love one if I could get one, but there's one thing that's holding me back, and it's that there's a super high commitment level and level of planning that is required if you want to drive your car anywhere more than down the block. You cannot just go and be like, oh no, I'm low on gas, and then just go to the gas station, and 4 minutes later you're out with a full tank of gas, and you're ready to rock for 350 more miles.
Right.
If you're down to 20 miles on your Tesla, you got to go find a place to charge up, which are either abundant where you live or not. Right. They're not ubiquitous. They don't just exist all over the place like gas stations. Let me finish.
I know, but your scenario is really, your friend must live in New York City or in a big metropolitan area.
Well, yeah, a lot of my friends
scenario
live
doesn't
in New York
exist
City.
if you live in Atlanta. That scenario is you're plugged in overnight. Your car is you actually almost have a better scenario in that every time you take your car, it's fully charged. So you actually never have to go to a gas station.
Well, unless you need to drive somewhere that's a significant distance away. The scenario of driving, to and from work, which is 15 miles back and forth in suburbia, fine, right. Whatever. But if you're I want to take a road trip, you really have to meticulously plan that and know that at some point you are stopping for more than an hour to charge up your car.
I think
not
that's
for 2 minutes.
That's the better. The thing in the city, and your friend who owns the Tesla probably lives in the city. Yes, you have to be paying attention more to, because you don't have a full charge every time you start. The road trip thing is definitely part of it, right? So if you get 300 miles, let's say, or 296 miles, and you're going to go 600 miles, right, you got to go. I will say the technology is there, so it's very smart about where it goes and charging, and I think Tesla's way ahead of it, but we just need more, right? If we get better technology for charging and better technology for batteries, Bird loves Teslas. Anyway, I'm excited by the whole industry as a whole, so that was my thing. And then what else did I do?
You said Apple doesn't go to 11.
Well, that's a great reference. First of all, do you even get that reference?
Of course.
Okay.
So Apple doesn't update something. What are you saying? That they're not going to release anything over the iPhone?
I don't think they're going to go till they're not going to go, because they pretty much go every year.
There'll be no 11. One. There's going to be a 9, is what you're saying, and then there'll be an XS. XS. Oh, good one.
In XS?
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah.
Very well done.
I'm trying to think of a song now. I just don't think that, they've really almost every year done another, although last year they jumped from 7 to 8 and 10,
Yeah,
right?
they went to 2 models.
They
8, which is basically the 7
Plus better 7.
Basically just the next evolution of the same phone.
And then they skipped one.
Skipped one and created essentially a brand new phone.
Right, the X. But I'm saying they're not going to go to 11.
They're going to go to 9.
I think they'll go to a 9X, and then I think they'll start again. They're not. If you notice, they don't like to. 11 isn't a thing.
OS 10 is still OS 10.
Yeah,
it actually doesn't even have numbers anymore.
So I could see them like doing a total rebranding of or starting again or something. A, B, or names, or they went to like in OS X, they went to like names of High Sierra, and they just kept adding on names at the end. Yeah, I could see XL, XD.
XS.
Which I actually hate that, but yeah, Bird, you want an XD.
Bird's all about it. And then you had Amazon buying Salesforce. Confidence level of 2.
I always have to have someone buying something.
Confidence level of 2, so not very confident.
Not very confident.
Lots of Amazon news, though.
Yeah, well...
Moving and shaking.
The one that came out the other day, which I just read briefly, I didn't read into like the deep, but they're partnering with us. Morgan Stanley...
It's Chase and... what's his face? Hathaway.
Berkshire Hathaway.
Yeah, Berkshire
to create
Hathaway.
a insurance company.
Correct. They're going to pilot on Amazon employees.
Can I get Amazon Prime insurance?
Well, they're also getting into the delivery service of like mail order prescriptions, which makes total sense because they're probably the best logistics company out there, probably better than like UPS and FedEx, whatever.
It's just so interesting to watch them go vertical and horizontal. Like, in business, you're creating vertical as you control the whole thing from the start to the beginning. You plant the seed all the way to you sell it in your own store. That's vertical. Horizontal is you have lots of different products across one thing. And they're just, they don't care. They'll go either way. They're like, we'll either make our own products, our own tech, that's Kindles, right? And sell the Kindle, sell the thing on top of the Kindle, sell it through our store, sell it through have it delivered to you by us. I mean, the only thing they don't control at this point is the U.S. Post Service. I think they should just take that over. And they should...
Amazon Video or Prime Video is the perfect example.
Right.
They produce and deliver over Fire Sticks.
Right.
I mean,
they got the whole
thing.
Now they have to build their own actors. Amazon actors. They just clone actors.
Yeah.
And
sad thing.
But it's just fascinating. I love people disrupting. I guess that's why I also am fascinated by Teslas, because of all the disruption, or Elon Musk. I love the disruption of something these are broken. Like the medical industry and insurance and all that is completely broken. It's just, it's broken, right? It was thought of however long ago, built in paper, and it's kind of like you just know it's broken versus what we could do nowadays if we started from scratch.
This envelope?
Yeah, you're about to send it.
This envelope is a printed out piece of paper with a paper receipt that I have to mail to Aetna.
Yeah.
In order for them to mail me back a check.
Right, then you can go to the store, you can go to the money store, I call it, the bank.
Yeah, the bank. Well, actually, the checks are generally small enough that I can just take pictures of them.
Oh, you can at least use that. So you can jump into the 5 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. That's all the stuff. So next week we'll really go, or next episode. Maybe I'll just start saying that. Next episode.
Next whenever we do this.
Right. Although I do have some really cool thoughts about our summer series.
I know all the thoughts. We have a
document new ones.
With
ones I haven't even shared with you.
Oh, well, why wouldn't you put them on the document that we have all
I'm
of
still
our
letting
ideas
them percolate.
For...
They're percolating in the mind's eye.
Whatever.
Anyway, so we'll be back, but let's do a CloudFocus app pick of the week. Have you picked something yet?
No, you go first.
No, that's not a thing.
I didn't. I gotta open up my phone.
I literally warned you 20 minutes ago. I said, hey, you gotta pick something.
You didn't do any of those. None of those things. Actually, can I pick a non-technology pick? It's sort of technology.
We pick charities, dude. Like, we can go anywhere we want to go.
I'm gonna pick my sneakers. I'll tie it to.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll tie it to Salesforce. Actually,
it's a fine. If you hadn't have said this reverse, you could have just said, I have an interesting pick tied to Salesforce. But now, because you're doing it just because you're wearing something, and the Justometer's going down.
So I am if you know me, you know that I'm a huge fan of Adidas Boost sneakers.
You are.
This technology
can't stop talking about
called Boost that comes in a variety of flavors now: Pure Boost, Ultra Boost, what have you.
Boost XD.
There's a lot of them.
Boost 9.
And I have worn custom-made orthotics in my sneakers and shoes for 20 years.
Right.
When I bought the first pair of Boost sneakers, which was about a year ago after I had my surgery, someone had recommended them to me. I bought a pair, and they said, don't put your orthotics in. I asked my physical therapist. She agreed. She said, don't put your orthotics in. See how it goes. I have not worn orthotics for a year. I have no foot pain, nothing. Now, to tie this to Salesforce, the Adidas.com and the Adidas app, it all runs on Commerce Cloud. It's actually really good. It's really good. They have good recommendations. They know what you buy. They kind of get what you would want.
Right.
And then as you're scrolling through Instagram and as you're scrolling through, it's mostly Instagram, you'll get an ad for an Adidas shoe that you're likely to want that you wouldn't have otherwise known about. I own about 8 pairs of these now.
Imelda Marcos.
I have run races in them. I have biked in them. I have worked out in them. I've played basketball in
Have you podcasted in them?
I am podcasting right now in them, and over time have podcasted over 20 times in them, probably 20-ish. But so I'm picking the Boost line of sneakers from Adidas, which is kind of like
on the Salesforce.
Yeah,
Commerce
you
Cloud.
can go on Adidas.com. There's no deals, so like they're the same price if you go to like Amazon or Zappos or whatever. They're the same. So just go to Adidas.com, go into the store, and experience what Commerce Cloud feels and looks like. And while you're there, filter down on the Boost technology line of sneakers and see what they look like. And I would suggest if you have feet troubles or leg troubles and they're having to do with your shoes, try out a pair. They've changed the game for me.
Oh, game changer. Nice. All right. I'm going to make something much more practical. I think maybe the next pair. I do like Nikes. I generally buy Nike shoes because I like them. I like the look of them. But maybe next time I will pick a pair of Adidas. I'm going to pick something that was kind of a follow-up to picks we made years ago. I'm actually looking behind me. So Belkin, maker of the Wemo, which is a home automation software / things. You can have lights turn on and off, switches turn on and off, even make a bunch of things. Actually, I think they even made a hot pot. What do you call it? Crock pot that had Wemo in it. But forever, when Apple announced HomeKit, which was their technology to allow for home automation, Wemo couldn't do it. And they came out actually 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, and they said, we're not going to be able to do this because Apple is requiring hardware, things inside the hardware that do the encryption at the hardware level. Therefore, we can't retrofit all your devices, and we don't really feel like doing it. So it's kind of a bummer for all of us who own Wemo, and I have, maybe 10 or 15 of these things around the house, and they turn on the lights, and they turn on the stuff, and you go into the app. But with HomeKit, it's nice because it's also it's everywhere. So you can say, hey, Siri, turn this on. You can say, all this sort of stuff can happen with HomeKit. And it's agnostic to Apple. So if you want to turn on a non-Apple device like a Philips Hue, you can do that. Okay, so at NES? Yeah. 2 weeks ago, they announced the Wemo Bridge, which is just a little device for $39 you stick into your router, and then it makes all of your Wemo devices work on HomeKit. So yay for those of us who have Wemo, yay for HomeKit, yay for home automation. So anyway, it's called the Wemo Wi-Fi Smart Bridge, and it basically turns all of your Wemo devices so you don't have to get rid of them. If you have all this stuff, you can now use them in HomeKit, which again is really nice because then it's on your phone, it's on your watch, and you can do it all at the same place. And you can control multiple different types of stuff, which I think is the beauty of HomeKit, is that it's un-Apple because they allow you to control non-Apple things, because Apple wasn't going to go out and build switches and light bulbs. And so listen, just make it HomeKit and then it works. So Wemo Wi-Fi Smart Bridge by Belkin for $39. That is it. All right. Well, that wraps us up. First one of the year, one down, 20 to go. Or I don't know. How are we doing this year? What do we say, 26?
I think we needed only 19 to get to 300.
Yeah, but that's in September. We'll have at least...
Yeah, we'll do a couple more.
We needed 21 to get to 300, so we'll probably... I think 26 is a good number. Anyway, so we'll try to do a bunch this year. That's it for us. At Just Elstein, at Jason M. Atwood, at Arkus. Send us in your ideas via Twitter or message or DM or Salesforce or Facebook. Success Community or Power West. Tell us what you want us to do for the 300th episode. I think we already came up with like 3 ideas on the podcast, as we do. We have our parody video, our parody thing that we might play or play a piece of. That could be funny. Might have a band. I don't know. Maybe we will. Oh, we could do it in that space that we have. We could do our 300th episode in that space that we have at Dreamforce. Maybe get that space for longer.
We have a space?
We have a space.
Yeah, we do have a space. We could do it there.
God, so brilliant. Anyway, until next week, it's Justin and Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy days.